25 stories up in Manhattan the other day, I asked the man whose name adorns the Trump Tower and many other tall buildings around the world for his take on this year's defining issue, the economy. So when you look back at the decades with a focus on the economy, what did we get right? Anything?
Very little. We got very little right. We are in two wars that we shouldn't have been in. At least one of them, definitely, we shouldn't have been in. We are losing ground rapidly to other countries, in particular China, but to other countries. We are letting OPEC and the oil producers destroy this country with their, you could call it monopolistic practices, illegal practices if you are in this country. We are rapidly declining as a nation, in my opinion, very strongly. And we are just not doing very well. And people talk about jobs, but you can't have jobs when our products are made outside of the United States. I mean, healthcare is wonderful, but healthcare is not like an income producer. We're not selling things to other people. We're taking care of people. So I don't consider that to be an industry that really is productive in terms of making the country grow. We're making things in other countries. We're making products in areas that didn't even exist 5 years ago. And I think the country's in very serious trouble.
So if that's your very sober, somewhat ominous message,
it's actually not ominous, because it's easy to stop. It's easy to stop.
Easy to stop if...
You start taxing Chinese products. It's very easy to stop. I do business with China.
So why does the political system...
They pull some tricks on me that are pretty bad, and I get the whole deal, And I will tell you that they are pulling, in a much bigger way, tricks on this country. Now, I have Chinese businessmen that are friends of mine. They can't believe what they're getting away with. They can't believe it. And you know what? All power to them. If the Chinese representatives are smarter than our representatives, and if they can get away with it, hey, I'm a free enterprise guy. They should do it. But something has to be done, because our country is going down very quickly.
So why won't the political leadership do something?
Because we're stupid. So it's a very serious problem we have. If we don't have the right representatives, we have the greatest business leaders in the world. Fortunately or unfortunately, they're running companies, and I could name 10 right now, but I don't want to. If you took certain of these people, and they'd be honored to get a call from the President of the United States and said, you know what, your company is wonderful. Guess what? It's time for you to come and represent the country. And you put them in charge of China. You put another one in charge of India, another one in charge of Japan. I guarantee you things would turn around very, very quickly, but you have to pick the right guys.
And so then if this last decade was such a tough one, the result of that challenge is the American middle class gets squeezed. Has a very tough 10 years.
Oh, it's terrible for the middle class.
So when you look forward, if this decade was so bad and so tough on the middle class, when you look forward, is it going to stay the same or get worse, or is
Well, it depends. See, I happen to think the Tea Party's been a great thing, because people are now thinking. I really don't call it the Tea Party. I call it, in many respects, the party of common sense. I think that it's a great thing that it happened. I think that the recent elections, and I'm not saying I'm a Republican, but I'm not saying good because the Republicans I think the recent election showed that the population of this country knows that it just can't continue to go on like this. So I actually think the Tea Party did a great service to the United States. I really feel that very strongly. Whether you agree with all of their message or some of their message, people are starting to think now. And unless we do something fairly rapidly, we are going to have tremendous problems. We're going to be subservient to China and to other countries that it was unthinkable 10 years ago. Unthinkable. And I think the biggest thing, John, is we are no longer respected like we were. If you think back, and I've been watching you for a long time, and if you think back to the Ronald Reagan era, whether you liked Reagan or we were respected. And I'll never forget when Jimmy Carter couldn't get the hostages out of Iran, and Ronald Reagan said something to the effect that those hostages better be out when I turn into office that first day. And all of a sudden, miraculously, they were out. They were all let go. Everyone was fine. I guarantee you, if Jimmy Carter, who's a nice man, but if Jimmy Carter won that election, those hostages, they'd still be there. So we have lost respect. People don't respect us. I mean, when I go to Europe...
Is that unique to this president, or is that a cumulative effect of the decade where we had both Republican and now a Democratic president?
I think that people didn't respect us greatly under Bush. I think we had a great opportunity. I'll never forget when the World Trade Center came down, worst day, in my opinion, in this country's history, worse than Pearl Harbor, because that was a sneak attack on Army, Navy. It was on the military. This was a sneak attack on civilians that were occupying office buildings, and a terrible attack. So I think it was the worst thing that's happened to this country. And I will never forget, in Europe, I have friends, and they never loved our country, but they respected it and even feared it. But when that happened, they loved our country. And there was a great opportunity to build friendships all over the world after that happened. And instead, we attacked a country that had nothing to do with the World Trade Center coming in. We went after Iraq. We don't have clear thinking. We don't have common sense thinking. And again, if somebody doesn't get elected president soon, this country will really be subservient to other countries and other parts of the world. And that was unthinkable 10 or 15 years ago.
If 9/11 is one big legacy of the last decade, and it's the biggest, I would think, another is the banking crisis. If there's a guy out there in middle America right now who wants to be the next Donald Trump and has a good idea, can he get the money?
It's very hard to get money from banks. If you have a good idea today, the banks are not putting out money. And I am a big free enterprise guy. I've made a lot of money with the free enterprise system. I'm in a very good position because I've done very well, and I can buy things today that I couldn't have bought 4 years ago because things are for sale at prices that I love. It's a great time. If you have cash, this is a great time to buy. But I will tell you that people, if they want to buy apartments, if they want to buy houses, if they want to buy whatever they want to buy, they can't get a loan. So the banks took in billions and billions and trillions of dollars
of their money, and they won't lend it back to them.
And John, I see it all the time, where people sign for a house, they put down a deposit, then they end up losing that deposit because they can't get a mortgage. And it's just as bad today as it was a year ago. And it's sort of interesting because the regulators are very tough on the banks, and yet the banks, the banks took in all of this money. And it was, if you want to just say metaphorically, they took in the people's money, and now they're not loaning it back to the people. So I'm very disappointed in the banking industry. I think it's terrible what's happened.
That conversation with Donald Trump, part of a collaboration with our friends at Time Magazine. Time Frames, a special look back at the past decade and its lessons on issues